Hi everyone, and this is 13th episode of Pajama Talks, and today I'm your host Evgeny Kot from Wrike, and today we have two guests, Anton Danilov, Director of Product Management from Wrike. Hi Anton.
Hi everyone.
And Jane Hani, Senior Product Director at Intercom. Hi Jane.
Hi everybody.
Let's start from short introduction, and maybe let's start from Anton. Anton, you are Director of Product Management at Wrike. So what is Wrike and what you're doing at Wrike? What's your story?
So Wrike is a platform for online kind of collaboration. So it's a collaborative work management platform, as we call it. What we are doing is we're helping companies build their online workspace and collaborate and really kind of have the single source of truth and take their work somewhere else other than spreadsheets and emails, which are not the best way, honestly. We all know that, right? I'm a director of product at Wrike. What I do is I help our largest customers to adopt our product better, and me and my teams are making our product suited better for the largest customers we have. We're pretty proud of that.
Anton, give me one killer feature of Wrike, like awesome ultimate feature of Wrike.
What you can do in Wrike is you obviously can organize your work, right? So what you want to do is you want to have a structure. Everybody does that, right? But what you can do in Wrike is you can have your project be included in multiple other tags or folders or whatever. That doesn't sound killer on the surface, but if you think about it, you can slice your projects by region and at the same time by customer and at the same time by language, for example. And you can have 3 slices per your project database and then look at it at the various angles and analyze the data that you get from these projects in the various angles. This is killer because it allows you for unlimited flexibility. You can do whatever with that and you build your own structure just the way you build your own business.
Jane, could you please tell us about yourself and about Intercom?
We're a SaaS platform for businesses who want to build relationships with their customers using a personalized messenger experience primarily. So we can be used by either sales teams, marketing teams, or support teams to talk to their customers by using a messenger either on their website or in their product. We have been helping businesses build these stronger relationships for nearly, I think it's about 9 years now. We've got 30,000 paying customers now using us, including Atlassian, Sotheby's, New Relic, through all sorts of customers. And we're now powering more than 800 million conversations a month across that whole journey, whether it's sales, marketing, or support. And I'm in the London office. We've got 62 of us now in London, so it feels like a startup. The main offices are in San Francisco and Dublin, and we focus entirely on that support use case. So really helping customers answer their customers' queries as quickly as possible. And we're focusing in a couple of areas around that.
And you are a Senior Product Director at Intercom.
Yes, that's right. So I'm one of the product leadership team, and I'm a Senior Product Director leading 5 teams, soon to be 6 teams in London.
Do you have any like specialization? I mean, like for example, Anton specialized in enterprise customers, or do you have this like separation at Intercom?
So Intercom can be used by tiny startups. So we've got quite a few small companies using us, but primarily we're focused at upmarket customers, so customers with more than about 100 employees. And we've got some really large customers using us as well, with teams of over 1,000 employees. So we're pointed at that upmarket area. And the teams that I oversee are in the inbox space, so the space where support teams are working to triage and resolve those queries, but also the automation space, so all the different tools that you can put offer your customers to help them resolve their own queries, or get bots to answer some of your more simple, repetitive queries as well.
Could you name one killer feature of your product?
Similar to what Anton said about flexibility. So when you think about the support experience you want to offer your customers, you might want some customers to have a very different experience than others. So you might want all of your VIP customers, for example, to get straight through to a teammate within a minute, whereas you may want some of your free non-subscription customers to see more automation before they get to that teammate. So some of the tools that we've got in place there are help center capabilities, bot capabilities to help triage and answer questions without a human being involved. And so that it's the flexibility to sort of design these experiences for different types of customers, or different times of the day, or different parts of your product. That's where Intercom really leads. Plus, of course, our messenger was the first business messenger in the market, so it's still very differentiated from a user experience point of view.
I've heard one opinion that actually manager can manage anything. So, like, for example, if you are a good manager, you can manage whatever you want, or whatever business wants. So is there any are there any key skills you're looking for in when you're hiring product managers, something that distinguish product managers from any other managers?
Product management is quite an elusive craft, isn't it? It's something that's not that old, so a lot of people think maybe that it's not that clear how a product manager should what they do, or how they should thrive. But when we think about it, we think about 5 different skill areas. So we focus on how strong they are at collecting information, insights from customers, whether that's qualitative research that they've done, or competitive insight analysis, or quant analysis, looking at analytics. So the ability to be able to gather a range of insights and then succinctly summarize them and understand the so what, if you like, to help them make informed decisions. That's the first skill area that we really focus on. The second is the ability to take those insights and build them out into strategy. So define where the team should focus and understand how you're going to drive the most impact. So really exploring how good they are at building out that 6 to 12 month view for the team, so that the team aren't just moving into fast acceleration mode, but they are clearly pointing in the right direction. So the ability to take those insights and then define a product strategy from that. The third skill we look at is in the execution space. So they're managing a team, usually 5 or 6 engineers, working closely with the designer, the engineering manager. So really making sure they can drive momentum. We focus very much on shipping at Intercom. We have a phrase that we use a lot, which is that shipping is our heartbeat, and we have a value which is that every day counts. So we're constantly looking for teams that are fast and that can execute and drive impact really quickly.
When you hire an engineer, you understand that, of course, because IT world is super big, and it is like super rare case when you can hire someone exactly on your stack, and this person will start working like immediately and give you value immediately. What about product managers? Is there any probation period in quotes? So product managers should adopt to the new company or to your company, and kind of to show all these skills.
We have different levels. So we've built out what we call a career expectations ladder, which helps everybody, both the product manager and their peers in their team and their managers, if you like, assess the competencies that we expect for different levels. And they'll obviously build as you get more experienced. So We at Intercom start at the product manager level. We don't have any associate product managers currently. We have had in the past, but we don't currently. Because we're growing very, very quickly at the moment, and we are a very fast startup, disruptive company, we are looking for, even the product managers that we're hiring, we're looking at people who are fairly strong on all those 5 competencies. So we don't tend at the moment to take people who are going to need a lot of support to get up to speed. We then have, like I say, this career expectation ladder that maps out the different expectations for each level. So at Intercom, we have a product manager expectation set, and then a senior product manager expectation set, and then currently a principal product manager expectation set. But we are thinking about adding another role in between that senior and that principal level, which is a staff role. So we sort of skew towards more senior talent, and that's just the nature of the business and the speed at which we want to operate. But it also reflects the strength of the internal talent. We know that the product managers that we've got are very strong, and potentially would be a level above where they might be in another company because of how strong they are and how our expectations are very high. We compensate our product managers, interestingly, at a very high level when we benchmark against the market, because we know we want the best.
Anton, junior product manager, does it make sense to you? Because I can imagine junior like developer, junior JavaScript developer, whatever, but junior product manager, like, is it a thing?
We do have this associate product management program in Wrike, which is not massive, but it allows people from adjacent organizations such as marketing or sales or customer success to join product organization and to grow within. And obviously that is kind of a quirky thing, because you're right that this is not a junior position. You're actually growing into a senior position already. So you should be pretty kind of senior right from the start. So that could be a person who would choose between a management position in their organization or a product manager position, an associate product manager position in product management organization. That's quite a step down in terms of level, but it's a step sideways with the potential to grow in a product management organization.
We have clustered our teams into groups, and we have a group product manager overseeing the PMs in each group. And so the other way we've thought about bringing on more junior talent is, if we've got a group with a couple of strong senior product managers in, we could potentially bring in a more junior PM or an associate PM into that group to give those senior product managers an opportunity to mentor them. But also we would potentially carve out less ambiguous problem spaces to deliver against, or a slightly smaller scope in terms of the amount of strategy we would be asking that associate PM to define.
Do you have any idea about the success rate of that associate PM growth?
We've only had one associate PM who joined Intercom, and she's now she succeeded in moving to PM at Intercom and now is outside of Intercom and has been very successful. So it has worked, but it's not something we're currently recruiting for. And I think maybe it's to do with the scale of the company as well, whether or not you could afford to support somebody like that at the moment. We are looking for people probably very close to being a senior PM at the level at which we're hiring.
Usually the rule of thumb, the more senior you are, the harder is to develop yourself, because it's like the curve when you're junior. You're growing really fast, but when you're senior, of course, it is kind of slow and hard way. So Jane, because you're hiring at Intercom more senior people, how do they develop themselves, or how you as a senior product director develop your employees?
Well, we do performance reviews twice a year at Intercom, and so those performance reviews are where we look at an employee's performance against the expectations that we've described in this career ladder framework. And we also make sure that every employee has a growth plan, which ideally is looking beyond that 6-month performance cycle and is looking towards the next role, if you like, or the next step for them. And so when we're doing performance reviews, we're also looking at their progress against the goals they've set out in their growth plan. So we urge everybody at Intercom to have a growth plan that's, like I say, pointing at the next step that they want to make. So I have a growth plan, for example, for my next step. And then have really open, honest, regular conversations with their manager to make sure that they've interpreted the ladder correctly and that they understand where the gaps are or the opportunities they have to demonstrate some of the competencies they might need. When we're thinking about the growth ladder, ideally you'd be looking at the expectations for the role that you're keen to move into, and looking at how you can gather evidence, if you like, to demonstrate that you've got what it takes to be operating at that next level. And if there are gaps, finding opportunities for you across the company to demonstrate and gather some of that evidence, so that you'll be in a strong position when we're having performance cycle discussions.
About growth and this structure and about this like stages of product management. Can you measure them? What kind of like measurements do you have? Because I can imagine, like I've come from engineering world, and I can imagine how you can measure some things about engineering. But what about product managers? How you measure like success of here's principal product manager and here's staff or senior product manager. What distinguish one from another?
We try and make that as transparent as possible. So we try and explain in the ladder that we've built out, we explain the type of impact that we would be expecting for a senior PM versus a principal PM, for example. So that might be the amount of independence that they've demonstrated when they've been navigating really complex problem spaces, or when they've been defining quite a complicated strategic area. So how independent have they been able to be versus a more junior PM who we would expect to need a lot more support. But for each, so we try and map out the expectations clearly, but also for each skill area, we've broken it down. There are sort of sub-skills. I mean, it sounds very, very structured, and it is a mixture of art and science. So it's not all an algebraic equation that we're defining here. But for each skill area, so for example, the insights skill area that I described earlier, we know there's competitive insight, we know there's qualitative research that they may have done, and we know there's quant analysis. So we look at each of those sub-skills, if you like, and look at what they've demonstrated. And then we do use a bit of maths to see where they've been exceeding expectations and where they've been hitting expectations or missing them.
Anton, what do you think? What is the best ratio between bureaucracy and art in product management development?
Definitely, there should be a structure. So we cannot go away from it, right? We cannot make it subjective, and that should be transparent. I totally agree with that. But at the same time, you're right that it's kind of an art. When we do have a competency matrix and we do have the ladder and all of that is kind of discussed, everybody starts to speak the common language, I would say, right? So when everybody speaks the common language, you can make sense some certain level of art into this, right? So you can be not as defined and not as formal. I would say that the biggest problem is formality. So when you're trying to kind of formalize it, makes it inhuman. So that's where the biggest problem starts. And that's why, for example, when we were doing our kind of competency matrix, we were trying to make it short.
And I think you're right. It's that some of the things that a product manager does are elusive. It's not like here's the designs they produced or here's the code they wrote. But you can say, here's the strategy they defined, here's the insights they've gathered, here's the way they improve the way we work. And here's the financial impact. There are lots of things that you can point to that are concrete. So it's just about making sure that you're weighting all of those things fairly, and making sure that your managers are applying the same art, if you like, to the way they assess some of those artifacts.
Is it always easy, or does it always work for you to assign this fiscal impact to product managers' work and the output that they produce? So how do you do that, or do you have hints about that? Because this is kind of a hot topic. This is really important to do properly.
So we wrote our ladder about 18 months ago, and actually this was the one area that we didn't get right. So we've just revised it, because it might be that a product manager isn't that strong and hasn't defined the right strategy or the right overseen the right type of execution, and actually by some fluke, or because the sales and marketing team have really overperformed, they've been able to deliver impact. So, and vice versa, it might be that they've got a fantastic strategy that's very well informed. The team have executed brilliantly, but that there's been some reason either in the market or outside of their control that has meant that they haven't had the impact that they should have done. And so we felt like it's not as clean as this is the financial performance. So we've redone that part of the ladder. And what we've done is we've broken it into two pieces, which we think are critical to the product manager role. So the first is, are they able to really define the outcomes that we should be pointing at, and really build out the assumptions that are going to help us learn about those outcomes, and anchor their decisions in pointing at the right outcomes. And then the second one is around their behaviours. Are they fighting for impact? Are they working hard with sales? Are they working hard with marketing? Are they learning what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then changing their roadmap based on those learnings? Are they really, really doing their absolute best? So it's their sort of attitude that we're measuring there. So that's how we've done it. So we've moved away from the pure have they hit that goal, and it's much more about the behaviours and the skills that they've brought to the discussions around whether or not we've hit those goals.
Essentially, this is the approach where if we won, that's definitely our kind of I would say common win, right? So it's our mutual win. And then if we didn't, then the question is, did we do everything we could? Did we do our best job in trying to do that?
The way they rally the team towards caring about whether or not they've hit that outcome, and the way they are digging into the assumptions that they made to really understand what the levers were that potentially they hadn't pulled to hit that goal.
I have one kind of psychological question about product management in general. So as a being developer, or I don't know, someone as an individual contributor, you get your, how to say, prize fast. So as a developer, you can develop some codes like 5 hours, and then upload it, and you can see how it works, and this is your prize, your pleasure, your, I don't know, goal, your carrot. But for product manager, your plans, they can be as long as 1 year or maybe 2 quarters, and this is collective goals. They're not only yours, and you can work and goals, they are not finishing. So how, and this is kind of like shift from individual contributor to like a team member. And what is your, I don't know, maybe advice?
If actually you've been able to really interrogate a problem space and understand what your customers are trying to solve and can't do currently with your product, and you've been able to work with your engineering colleagues and your design colleagues to build out a solution that helps solve that problem that's when you get the kick as a product manager, and it's a joint kick with your designers and your engineers. And it's at that point that you can, obviously there's still 100 other problems to solve, but it's at that moment where you get that kick that you see a customer achieving results. Like, for example, I mentioned the fact that we're building out the sort of teammate inbox experience so that teammates, support agents can work side by side, large volumes of conversations coming in, large volumes of teammates working together. And, every time we release something that helps them do something just a little bit faster, we're constantly looking, how can we reduce the number of clicks that they're having to do every day and the number of actions? And you see results coming through that give you that you're shaving it off each day, or the number of answers that a bot can answer, and you're saving those teammates.
Anton, what do you think about giving a kick to your team?
There's a number of those kicks, I think, right? And then one of them is definitely this, when you've found a solution to the problem, right? So when you've kind of found a problem, identified the problem, found a solution, and it will work. Well, I mean, you suspect it will work, and then when you launch it and you see it really works, that's where all the fun starts. But sometimes some people are not getting kicked out of the actual launch or the actual kind of success that the product sees. Like myself, for example, I get a kick out of that moment when I kind of find the solution, when I solve the problem in my head, and that's where I get the kick. And that's when I need to explain to myself that it's my kick, it's here, but then the team's kick is later. And then I need to kind of also get excited for the team and try to be empathetic about it, because I need to get into the team and become the part of the team at that moment and get a kick with them. So join them in the celebration and help them celebrate, show them that this is really the result that they've made.
Okay, I think this is the time. So thank you very much, Anton. Thank you very much, Jane. It was a short but really nice discussion about product management. And dear viewers, if you have any questions or maybe suggestions, please don't hesitate to put something in the comments box. All YouTubers should say press subscribe button and all other, press whatever buttons you want. But stay with us and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.